Hello everybody, it is Friday. It's been a couple days since I last checked in. In last week's vlog, I did end on a Wednesday and I had said I was going to my grandfather's funeral, and that is what I did, and it ended up being an entire day experience. I actually didn't get home until like midnight, and I didn't get to sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was a very long day on Wednesday. I did listen to more of Middle Game. I'm about halfway through at this point. I'm really not loving it. I mean, it's okay now. I mean, it's tolerable, but I'm not enamored with it. Basically, it's about like the villain. He's an alchemist, at least I'm assuming he's the villain. He's an alchemist, and he's created 3 sets of kids, like 3 sets of twins. And the project is like instill the divinity into them, and then whichever set of children actually make it to adulthood, they're going to be the ones that can go down the impossible road, and then them completing this journey will let them will let the alchemist, rather, not the kids, like a god, and he'd be able to take over the world. The story really focuses on one set of twins, Roger and Dodger. You hear in passing about the other sets of twins, but the focus of the story is on these 2 twins. And you start when they were little kids, and now at this point where I am, they're not high school students, they're college students. So we're following them throughout their lives, and we flip between the twins and the alchemist. And nothing has really been explained. There's no backstory to what the impossible road is, or how it's meant to make this alchemist like the leader of the world. I don't know. It hasn't explained what it is. And I think it's one of those stories that we find out along with the kids. But this is a thick book. I actually have the book. I have the book here, and I have plans on trying to reading it while I'm at work today, because I'm doing my usual 1 to 5 shift at the small branch. And as you can see, it's a pretty thick book, and I'm about halfway now. That's meant to count for my Bridge of Khazad-dûm challenge. I actually did finish a book within the last couple of days. I finished 30 Life Crisis by Lisa Schwartz, and I think the subtitle is Navigating My 30s, One Drunk Baby Shower at a Time. It's a collection of essays by Liz Bug, who's a YouTuber, and it kind of has the same smack as I Hate My Shelfie, BookTube, as the same smack of I Hate My Selfie by Shane Dawson. And it's meant to be comedic essays, but if I'm being completely honest, I don't care for Lisa's style of humor. The foreword was by Shane Dawson, and of course that was his brand of humor, and it was I don't like gross humor. I just see, I'm gagging just thinking about it. But thankfully, she had toned down a lot of the humor, whereas in Shane's book, he did not. She had gotten very open and very vulnerable and very sincere in her book, and I really enjoyed that. And so I'm rating this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I was half tempted to rate it 3.5 stars, but if I'm being completely honest, had I listened to it as an audiobook, I would have enjoyed it so much more. So I'm going to give, I keep shaking my phone, sorry. I'm going to give Liz Bug the benefit of the doubt and just give it 4 out of 5 stars. That's meant to count for the Pass of Caradhras challenge, read whatever I want. And so I'm at the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. I'm kind of hoping to finish this soon. And then the next one is Lothlorien, take a break from reading and read something that's mostly pictures. A couple weeks ago when I first started this, I'd started this book right here. A couple of weeks ago when I first started this readathon, I did start this with every intention of having it count for a different challenge, and I just haven't gotten back to it. But this is mostly pictures. There is some writing in this, and it's one of those how-to books by an Instagrammer of how to do Instagram. I'm at the point now where it's really how to start Instagram, setting up a profile, and it's just that boring stuff that I'm not interested in. I'm going to look through the pictures and just see inspiration of what to post on my Instagram. Because I have a bookstagram and I also have a personal one. And this personal one is really meant for my acting stuff. And I just don't know what to post on that one. So that one gets activity once in a great while. I don't post a lot on my bookstagram either. But at least my bookstagram has more activity. And I'm just going to look through this and see if I can get inspiration. The Instagrammer, her name is Amy Song, and this book is called Capture Your Style. I think this is like one of those like fashion Instagrammers who also occasionally posts other stuff like travel, food, and whatnot. Okay, so I should totally be reading today, and I might actually get some reading done, but it's a really good weekend for me to go downstairs and start unearthing all my Christmas stuff. Thanksgiving is this week, and I was raised that you wait until the day after Thanksgiving to do all of that, but honestly, I'm not hosting Thanksgiving here, so I don't frankly care. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and hopefully getting some reading done as well. I don't know. I think I'm going to be playing the last minute game with this readathon. Okay, so this vlog is going to be weeks 3 and 4. I don't have enough footage of week 3 in order to have it as its own vlog because I haven't vlogged at all. Last time I really checked in was Friday. And then I did that quick clip on Sunday saying, hey, I'm decorating my house for Christmas. I got so involved in decorating my house that it was an all-day affair. And I didn't even do much. As I was setting stuff up, I realized how dusty my living room was. And I couldn't just put stuff out knowing there was like this fine layer of dust. So I stopped decorating, really cleaned the living room, and then continued to decorate. I also like decorating for Christmas is going to be my first Vlogmas episode, so that was a whole thing as well. So I didn't really read at all on Sunday. I haven't really been reading at all the last couple of days, and it's because I kept trudging through this book. I didn't want to read it really, but it got to the point where I was like, well, I have to read it now because I don't have anything else for this particular challenge, which is the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. Read something with fire or smoke on the cover. I'm looking at my shelves and I see I had other options, and I don't know why I just pushed through this book. I think it's because it's a really popular book right now. It was nominated through Goodreads. It's like, it has to get better, it has to get better. Well, today was my day off from work. I usually work a night shift at the public library, and because it is the day before Thanksgiving, yes, it's now Wednesday, so that's how long it's been since I last checked in with you guys. And because the night before Thanksgiving we closed early, I didn't have to go into work because my shift was gone. So I actually had a day off today. So I told myself, you know what, I am finishing this book. This is my goal for the day, and my other goal was to finish 2 other challenges today. And dang it, I was successful. I realized while listening to it that I just don't like Amber Benson as a narrator. I did read the actual book for a couple hours this morning, and I like the style of writing. I like Shannon McGuire's style of writing. Amber Benson's part of it, but not completely it. She was a great choice for the kids. Terrible for the villain. Terrible, terrible for the villain. She kept playing it off as like a 90s villain. And the same with the other bad guys or bad ladies throughout the book. It was just ugh. And it also the story gave no other motive for why this guy wanted world domination, just that he wanted world domination. And I think that's such a boring motivation. It's one thing to want world domination, but why do you want it? Is it because someone treated you badly and you want revenge on that person? That's interesting. But we didn't get to learn anything about the villain. And another thing what made this book hard to follow was the kids have the ability to mess with the timeline. If something isn't going to plan, they can reset it. And it reset it a couple of times, which made it kind of confusing because they didn't necessarily remember what happened the first time around. And also kept referencing to timelines that we weren't privy of. Oh, this must have happened in a timeline ages and ages ago. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. Why are we even mentioning it now then? I just found it slow, hard to follow, and kind of on the boring side. Concept was cool, but it just wasn't fleshed out to my personal preferences. So I actually rated middle game 2 stars. I think this book was just far too ambitious. All right, so that is my challenge for Bridge of Khazad-dûm. Read a book with fire on the cover. And so I can now move on to Lothlorien. Find rest, read a book that's mostly pictures, the less words the better. I was going to read a Cyanide Happiness graphic novel, but I borrowed this from my library, Capture Your Style. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this book already. It's more of a how-to, like how to do Instagram. And then towards the back, we kind of got to see her inspiration for a lot of her photos, which is what I found interesting. Looking at these pictures make me want to try them out. And I like the idea of for outfit pictures not necessarily showing the whole outfit. She said you don't have to show a head to toe picture. Just show like a torso to show off a necklace, or just your wrist to show off a bracelet. I'm like, ooh, I like that. So I think I'm going to try to implement that, because I just don't know what to post on my acting Instagram, and I should be more active on it. I also learned that I use far too many hashtags. Apparently, according to Amy Song, you should use no more than 5 hashtags, and I use like 30. So I'm going to have to pick and choose my favorites and try to implement that in both my acting Instagram and my bookstagram. So I did learn a couple of things from this, but it's definitely mostly of a skim read. So I would say I would rate this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The next book that I read today, I actually don't have it. I basically went, all right, so I need a very fast read for am on Hen, and I basically had to choose between 3 groups of people. I still wanted to follow on my original path, which was Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, and that for them I needed to read a book that was a road trip sort of book. Did a quick Google search for road trip comic books or graphic novels, and An Age of, oh goodness, I'm like spacing it, An Age of License. Of course, it's going to be in the corner here. An Age of License by Lucy Kninsley. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I did read something by her a few years back. Yeah, it was a couple years back. A year back? But it was a while ago. Something New, where she did this like nonfiction memoir sort of graphic novel on her prepping for her wedding, and I was prepping for my wedding at that point, so I found it really relatable and enjoyable, and I liked her style. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to enjoy this, and I was correct. I really enjoyed this graphic novel. It seems that nonfiction memoir graphic novel things, it's just her style. So An Age of License was actually a travelogue. She kind of like does this European trip, and this graphic novel is more of like a journal style, which I really liked. And the overall theme of this graphic novel was, all right, so you don't know what you're expected to do or what's going to happen, or like what your priorities are right now, but that's okay. You can figure things out as you go along, because in the beginning of the graphic novel, she was dealing with a breakup. I guess this trip kind of like put things into perspective for her, which I really liked. And again, I really enjoyed her art style. So 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I felt like such like this feel-good feeling after reading it. I really liked it. So this is a really good check-in. I finally completed Middle Game and took out 2 more challenges for this readathon. My next book that I'm going to read actually is, so my next one is, totally spacing, I see the battle from the movie in my head, Helm's Deep, Battle of Helm's Deep. The men of Helm's Deep are currently, they're outnumbered, it's overrun, they're losing hope. Read a 500-page book. I was going to read Gemina, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. I want to flip through it and see if it's not a whole lot of text, because if it's not, I'm gonna try reading that. But if not, I think I'm gonna read this, Blankets by Craig Thompson. I got this actually a week ago because I was like, you know what, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to read a 500-page book. And this is a 500-page plus graphic novel. So it's mostly pictures. It'll be a faster read, and I ought to be able to complete this in an afternoon. Blankets would be my 9th book if I read this. And then I have 3 other books that I need to read, which I feel like is possible in a weekend. Because I want to see, the last day of this readathon is Sunday? No, Saturday. I think it's Saturday. So it's crunch time now, but hope is not lost yet. All right, so that's all I got for you guys. I'll check in with y'all later. Hello, everybody. It is Friday. I did not read a single page yesterday. Yesterday was Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure tomorrow's the last day of this readathon. So, we are going to read a lot of graphic novels today and tomorrow to try to make up the lost time. I have Blankets, which is a pretty hefty sized graphic novel in my bag, and I hope to start and finish that today and start another graphic novel today. I'm actually on the train here. I actually was trying to find different books that I can get either through Hoopla or through Overdrive or at the library I'm working at today. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm reading and still complete these challenges because I want to read 12 books this month. That was the goal. I was a little ambitious a few days ago. I shouldn't have stuck with the Aragorn track the Aragorn track where at one point I need to read a 500-page book. I should have switched tracks, but I didn't. So we're going to hope and pray that I figure something out for today and tomorrow. I don't have a whole lot going for me. I have my usual shift today from 1 to 5 at one of the little branches I work at, and tomorrow I'm working at the public library in the morning. So I have plenty of time to read tomorrow. I'm trying to see if I can find an audiobook that I can listen to at work and still hit a challenge. I do eventually need to film and edit my Readathon TBR video, but I got a lot going on and not a whole lot of time. All right, so that's all I have for you for this check-in. I'll try to check in before I go to bed tonight, but for sure, we're going to wrap things up tomorrow. Okay, so it is about 10 o'clock at night. I did my usual shift, and I got distracted by the internet, and so I didn't really start reading until the last hour of my shift. But when I got home, I really buckled down and not only started and finished one book, but I did it for a second one. So for Helm's Deep, for the Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas track, I needed to read a book that was over 500 pages. I read Blankets by Craig Thompson. Actually was going to rate this 3 stars until I realized it was a memoir. And it being a memoir takes a lot of courage to write. So that actually bumped the rating for me. This follows a guy throughout his life. We see his childhood, which was filled with bullying and sexual abuse. And then you see him grow up in this conservative, Christian family. And then in his, late teens, he falls in love for the first time. You see him going from being a full believer to someone who has doubt. And that's really just, this whole story just really encompasses what humanity is, I think. The only reason it didn't get a full 5 stars is because it was tough to read at times. Like I said, I didn't realize it was a memoir. I didn't realize what sort of book I was going into. So the bits about childhood sexual abuse really upset me. And there were mentions of ableist and homophobic slurs. This was denser than I thought it was going to be. Usually when I think of graphic novels, I think of something lighter and something fun. And that's not necessarily what it is, which is great in its own right, just not what I was expecting and not what I was really in the mood for. I really like the art style. The art style was very fun and very interesting. I did relate a lot to the conservative Christian upbringing because that was basically my childhood too. So yes, 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So we got Helm's Deep out of the way. After starting and finishing this hefty book, I really wasn't in the mood to continue reading, but I forced myself to. So while I was at work today, I did find a bunch of options to try to just crank out these challenges. And the book I got here was one of those options. Ghosts by Readathons. Gamir? I don't know how to pronounce this person's last name. The story follows this family moving to Northern California from Southern California because the younger of the 2 sisters has cystic fibrosis. So for her health, they make the move. And this town is actually a hot spot for ghosts. And the story kind of takes place around Halloween and Day of the Dead. This story really wasn't what I was expecting. It sets up the story to be something completely different. I like the art style and I like the relationship between the 2 sisters. And I like that the older sister goes from resenting her sister due to her worry to being more fearless in that relationship towards the end. I like that character growth.
However, they make mention of this grandmother, and this grandmother had passed on, and I thought for sure we were going to meet the grandmother at one point, and we never did. All of these ghosts, and we don't meet the one person that really mattered. I also think the story kind of ended at a weird spot. The idea is fun, but it didn't, like, the concept really wasn't fleshed out. So I rated this 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Now, because of all these different ghosts, it does count for a book with an undead character, so this is my challenge for Pelennor Fields. Alrighty, we now only have 2 more stops on our map before the readathon is officially over. It ends tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day. So I actually have an audiobook through Hoopla that's kind of like a ghost Christmas story. Like, how do I want to word it? It's a Christmas ghost story. Like, about these brothers that are murdered. And the cover, at least it looks like on the cover through Hoopla, it looks black. Alright, so that's going to count for my challenge for the Black Gate. And the best part about this ghost story, it is like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. I should be able to crank that out during my shift tomorrow, because I have a 9 to 1 shift at the main branch in the morning. And I usually get to page, which is basically just pulling requests off the shelves for people. And I'm usually like in the stacks paging for a couple hours. So I feel like I should be able to start and finish that audiobook tomorrow morning. The last challenge is Gundor, read a book that features a party. I have drama by the same author of Ghosts. It's Rena Telgemir. This takes place at, I don't know, like a middle school theater thing, and they're trying to put on a show, and our main character is part of the crew, and at the end, there is a cast party. It's like any good show, there is a cast party at the end. So this will count for that challenge. It probably just glances over this cast party, but I don't care. A cast party is featured. A party is featured. So it's going to count. So I am very confident that if I stop procrastinating, I'll be able to finish all of the challenges tomorrow, which is pretty good for trying to like cram all of this in the last couple of days. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed, and we're going to see how tomorrow goes.
Hello. So it's been a few days since I last checked in. Last I checked in was Friday, and I said, hey, I only got 2 books, and I'm pretty sure I got this. I totally did. So on Saturday, I did my usual like morning shift at the public library that I work at, and I did have time to do some paging. I also had some time working in the back with the sorter, and so I was in the stacks for a good while listening to this audiobook, and I finished it long before like I was done in the back. So for the rest of my shift, while I wasn't actually around patrons, I listened to Christmas music. It was actually really nice. The audiobook I did listen to was Family Ghost Christmas. We're gonna assume it's that, by Foxglove Lee. And so this was like kind of a novella sort of story. It was very short. It was only a couple hours long, and basically this family was murdered by the husband, and the protagonist is actually a girl. So this ghost family, there's a mom, 2 sons, and then the daughter. The daughter is our main character. She's the one that's like talking to the living person living in their house. Basically what happened, the father was very abusive, and then when one of the sons made a comment of, you know what, I'm just going to leave eventually, the father then planned on killing his family, was successful in killing his family. Family is now stuck in limbo at this house, and so for years they've watched family after family leave their house. And at this point, this girl is telling her story to a living boy that's sitting watching TV. Boy can't hear her or see her or anything, but she's still talking to him. And the 2 brothers also respond. Like they're kind of all interacting with each other. As the story progressed, they're able to sort of make contact with the living family. And the overall story is basically how this family was finally able to find peace. I guess my overall thoughts are it was very cheesy, but it kept me engaged, so I'm rating it 3 out of 5 stars. So when I got home from work,
it took me ages to actually sat down and read. It's because I realized, oh, I only have one book and it won't take me very long, so I just procrastinated the heck out of it, which in the end worked out because I still had one more reading sprint to host. And so I just sat down, read Drama by Rena Telgemeier. At least I think that's how I'm pronouncing it. And surprisingly, I loved it. I did not like Ghost, so I was very surprised that I liked this one. Basically, this follows a girl who's in sort of like grade school, like 6th grade, and she works as a stagehand. And her and a bunch of her classmates are putting up this play at this grade school. This is her also kind of like grappling with love for the first time, kind of like tipping her toes in the water and trying to figure that out. And I related to that a lot. It made for a great story, great interesting characters, and the whole theater bit made me real nostalgic because I was in theater in grade school. And the ending, there's a moment in this play that shocked the heck out of me. I was not expecting it, and I reacted very strongly to it. And overall, this was a great graphic novel. I'm very surprised this is written by the same person. And the art style was basically the same. You can tell that this author has a very particular art style when it comes to her drawings. So I'm rating this a full 5 stars on Goodreads. And what a way to end this readathon, because that was the last book I needed to read. So surprisingly, I pulled something out of my hat and I read 12 books for this readathon. Now, this readathon did better than I was expecting. We did lose one of our co-hosts at one point. Not very many people participated in the reading sprints, and I have not seen very many reading vlogs. And of course, mine is going to be up super late because I still have a lot of like back editing to do. But it wasn't too bad. Like 40 people followed the Twitter page. Maybe about 5 people participated with each sprint. Most of the time it was like 2 or 3 people, and that's including me. So it could have been worse. I mean, it could have been better, but it could have been worse. So I'm not disappointed with how the readathon went. For a first time hosting a readathon that I created, I think it went really well. I think I'm going to choose a different month the next time I do this. I think trying to do a readathon of this size during NaNoWriMo, and of course during a month with Thanksgiving and, you know, people traveling for family, and of course it's a month where everyone's trying to get like final projects in for school. I think I just chose a poor month to do it, which is why not very many people participated. So I think I might change it to a different month. If you have any suggestions, definitely let me know down in the comments. We'll of course keep the reading sprints. We'll of course keep the watch-alongs. But this has been a very big learning experience. Well, that's all I have for you. I'm super excited that this has ended on such a positive note. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts about the readathon itself, if you have any suggestions for me, or your thoughts on some of the books I read. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I guess it's ta-ta for now. Bye, guys.